You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Todd Richards here, Roots, Hearts,
and Soul.
You are listening to Roots, Heart, and
Soul. Yeah,
Roots,
baby.
Heart, and Soul podcast.
Stephan and I are launching this podcast based off cookbook Roots, Heart, and Soul by myself, Todd Richards, with a great help from Chef Stephan.
We're going to be hearing stories from Africa all the way to the Caribbean, all the way to the Americas. It's going to be something special.
Yes, sir.
I'm liking this, Bubba. I am liking this, Bubba.
Yes, sir. Of course, let's do the salutation. Let's go get this salutation out the way because we got so much to cover, right?
Salutation. What are you talking about?
We'd like to welcome everyone to Roots, Heart, and
Soul.
Roots, Heart, and Soul podcast, Heritage Radio Network. Chef Todd Richards, of course, and the great Chef Stephan. What's happening, my brother?
So this week is my boy and my partner's birthday week.
Yes, sir.
So you see, I'm in a celebratory mode.
Yes.
Even though I'm a little far from you.
That's all right. I'm a toast myself. How about that? Yeah.
You're gonna toast yourself. Here you go. Guess what? Yeah,
that's right.
You thought I was gonna come empty-handed, huh?
Nah, I never think that. You know. I'm still looking for that package in the mail though, but I know customers might have snatched that up.
Don't worry, man. Don't worry. This particular package, I'm gonna have to carry it. I'm gonna have to carry it myself because I don't want it getting lost.
Yeah, absolutely, and believe me, I know it's going to be something that someone might want to be lost. You know, for sure. You know. Yes. So I'm in. I left DC. I'm in PHI in Philly this couple of days. Get to head home. Tomorrow. Okay. So life is good. Turned 54. A rise pride 54 this past Friday. Did celebrate in both Philly and DC, and I get to go home to continue the celebration. So that's
with the wife.
Yeah. Just that's the way life goes, and.
What, man?
Yeah,
we are going to celebrate you. Actually, what the hell? We'll celebrate you all month long. You know.
That's the Leo way. You knew that. I mean, you know that.
Celebrate you all month long until the Virgo takes over.
Yes. Oh, well. Okay.
Until the Virgos, the powerful Virgos take over.
Yes.
And when I do take over.
Yes.
With guns blazing.
You know what? You know why Virgos are so great to be after Leos? Because you guys have the patience to clean up all our mess.
Well, guess what, man? See, that's why we're so meticulous and organized.
Yes, absolutely.
That's who we are.
Absolutely.
So, listen.
Come on now.
Listen.
Let's go.
I wanted to celebrate you the right way.
Yes.
I was able to muster this guest.
Okay. All right.
This 31st episode.
Wow. I mean.
Number 4. And guess what? I think you're going to be happy.
You think I'm going to be happy?
I think
more importantly, our listeners are going to be happy. So
because he's a very good buddy of yours, from what I understand.
Oh man, I mean, dude, man. I mean, let me tell you something. If I did not know the first time I met Michael that he was not one of the brothers, I can't tell you. I mean, in Soul Summit down there in Houston with Tony Tipton Martin. Let me tell you what he did. I know he's about to talk and everything. So it got his time to speak. And he was standing there, and he took his bag off his shoulder, and he slung it to the ground. It was like Moses parting the sea. He commanded everybody's attention with
Well,
and I was like,
he's got that Moses style figure.
So we about to have some of the gospel, the gospel today.
So before I properly introduce this young man, we're gonna do a little something for you.
Okay, all right.
And it starts something like this.
Hit it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, my dear brother, Chef Todd Richards. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
I totally appreciate it.
Welcome, Mr. Twitty, to the game. Hey. Heart and soul, baby.
Thank you. Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm sneezing. Something coming. Something's happening. How are y'all?
Hey, man.
Doing good. We're doing good.
You know, we've been doing this podcast, for a while here, and it seems like the cream is just keep rising to the top, and having you on here, my friend, like he told me, I was in a crappy ass mood, and he told me, and he's like, dude, man, you know what we got? He said, we got your boy on soon. Said we got Michael Twitty, and the whole world just stopped. I appreciate it, from bottom of my heart, man. I totally appreciate you joining us on Roots Heart Soul podcast.
Say this to his compliment.
Yeah.
He responded to me right away.
Yeah.
When I told him I needed to him on the podcast, he said, I said next Tuesday. He said, okay.
That's great.
And it was on, baby.
All right. So let's go, Stephan. Let's get into it.
It was on. So let's do what we do.
Let's tell the world about this young man that I already know. He's a worldwide figure already.
Let's do what we do. Episode 41, baby. Well, it's a treat for the whole week as we celebrate my brother Chef Todd Richards' birthday with one of his favorite peoples, Michael Twitty. Based in the DC area, Michael is an African-American Jewish writer, culinary historian, and educator. The James Beard Foundation award-winning cookbook author who won Book of the Year for his book, Cooking Gene, in 2018. Michael's third book, Kosher Soul, published in 2022, is the first book by a Black author awarded the National Jewish Book Award.
Wow.
So, we're not gonna deveil the whole, his whole curriculum. It could be long.
Okay.
But we are going to talk about Michael's amazing journey and story. And then we're going to talk about this brand new book, which I need to put my hands on.
That's right. So, let's do it.
What y'all got?
Let's do it, man. Mr. Twitty, welcome to the stage.
Well, thank you so much. I'm grateful.
How you doing?
I just came in out of the garden. I was harvesting some okra and peppers and even more tomatoes. So, when I talk about, I always tell people if someone calls me, if a chef calls me chef, it's an honor, because I've never lived that life where I've had to work on the line, deliver a consistent meal. But I am definitely a Black cook. I'm definitely a Southern cook. And it means the world to me to have people's respect. Shut these sounds down.
Well, you've earned it.
Well, I'm trying. I feel like I'm on the verge of my own particular type of elderhood. I'm 48. And it's funny because when you're 30 to 50, people lay on you. The people who are older than you you're just a baby. People younger than you and say, yeah, you. So it's a weird place to be. So I just say elderhood. Elderhood.
I understand that all too well. I had to treat myself at the spa, and the lady who was taking care of me said, "Oh, your birthday today?" I said, "Yeah, I turned 54." She had to be in her late 70s. She said, "Oh, you still a baby?" And I was like, man, It's your job today to help me feel like a baby because these bones are a little bit tired, you know?
Yeah, man.
So I understand it. I understand all too well. But I mean, there's different layers to being a chef, and the chef, term really is to command the kitchen, and you've done that in some of the, festivals. You've done it in your cookbooks. You know, being a historian, you can. So there's a lot of ways that we can look at it, and the term has gotten so loose right now. Not requiring people to go to culinary school or vocational school or trade school or get certificates. But it's getting loose, and private chefs, of course, have become very prominent in our community.
But I think, chef, more than anything, when you immerse yourself in the world in the world that we live in, the culinary world that we live in, and you give the respect of studying the craft, of studying the food that you want to talk about, and you become a somebody of importance. When you open your mouth, people are listening to you. That has to be a level of credit that you've earned, and calling you a chef is not a mistake.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, it's curiosity here. You talking about you're in the garden. I mean, how many plants you growing right now? I mean, what's out there? I mean,
Yeah. So yeah.
So I can send my address. I need a box,
So we're right now growing like about, I don't know, 6 or 7 different types of heirloom tomatoes. Cherokee purples, Amish paste tomatoes, Old Virginia Mountain View. I'm most proud of the Plat du Haiti, which is a tomato of Haitian origin that is one of the few heirloom tomatoes that we have that have a black African-American, Afro-Caribbean provenance. There's several types of Tabasco, fish pepper, cayenne pepper. Last year I had a bunch of Thai peppers that I got from a friend of mine who is from Southeast Asia. Different kinds of basil. We grow basil by the front door and basil in the garden. Why? Because the basil's purpose at the front door is keep evil out the house. And then the other basil is there to keep the garden flowing, like tomatoes and basil work well together to prevent pests. A lot of marigolds, other flowers are put in the garden on purpose. So it's like flower, herb, vegetable. Tons of okra, the seed of which somehow, some way came from West Africa. I'm not talking about in 17, so I'm talking about in 2000 something, but I ain't saying another word.
Right.
So, this is not a watermelon year. Cucumbers are out there. Collard greens are out there. We just have a bunch of everything. There, at any given time, there's about 60 plus different species of plants, herbs, fruits, vegetables growing in my garden. And it's a pleasure because I think a lot of us talk about our ancestral gardens, how our grandmothers and grandfathers grew things. And in a time when we can't really trust where our food comes from, I'm expanding more and more every year. So there's potatoes in there, sweet potatoes in there. It's going to be a huge harvest. And I try to grow at least 3 to 4 different varieties of every single plant that I grow.
Now you caught my attention on.
Oh, you go about that question, and I got a question.
Oh, be quiet.
I already know where you're going. Go ahead.
You caught my attention on Haitian tomato.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So I think one of the most important things people know is that when the Haitian Revolution happened, some Haitians were not able to stay on the island and were not able to take advantage of self-emancipation. Many came to what is now the eastern United States and the Gulf Coast from Haiti, and some of them brought with them plants and seeds, which sounds. It sounds like a lot to do when there's a lot of turmoil and Sturm and Drang going on, but people actually did that. And the Haitian community brought those plants, those okras, those tomatoes, those hot peppers to Baltimore to Savannah to New Orleans to Philadelphia, peanuts too. And, the reason why we have rice and beans, the reason why we have, red beans and rice, the reason why we have peanut brittle, the way a lot of these different foods and confections came out of the fact that a lot of Haitians were entering the food trade. And not just the food trade, but they were master caterers and chefs. And they had a very similar provenance, like the Hemmings story, like, being sent to France, coming back, and also mixing everything up. And again, the Caribbean was a place where if you were Les Blancs and you stayed on the island, you had to get used to the fact that you were no longer going to eat like a European. You were going to eat in that Creole way. And, Creole simply means somebody who was not born in Europe, somebody who's born over here. And so there were Black caterers who were of Haitian extraction, whose catering dynasties lasted into the 80s and 90s in Philadelphia. Of course, New Orleans is not New Orleans without Haitian food, the influence of Haitian food. I'm not saying it's every part of it, but it's definitely re-Africanized the food traditions there. And here in the Chesapeake region, a significant imprint from Haitian people. So, it feels spiritual to make oxtail with that tomato. It feels spiritual to make my own version of griot and, make it pea and everything else and put it in, take the stuff out the garden and make it, because it's just like, there's even cilantro in my garden, right? Chano and Benny. So I try to do everything, a little bit of kalu, whatever I can do, so that I'm always cooking, with that spirit, those ancestors in mind.
Okay, Chef Todd, make a note, please. Make a note, yes. Even though I'm supposed to be your designated manager and organizing all your tours and stuff. You don't have to put this in the calendar for me. That I need to make a point to make sure that I meet with Michael some way, somehow, preferably where he's at.
Yes.
Because we need to cook some food.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one thing that you brought up, in discussion of what's in the garden, you brought up collard greens, right? And one thing that we have a debate about in our restaurant, Chicken and Beer, both in LAX and Concourse D. Shout out to Ludacris Chicken and Beer. We're having a great pop-up. I got to plug it. September Labor Day weekend in Atlanta at the One Food South location on the Beltline. But we're talking about collard green recipes, and I am explaining to people that there's a difference between summer collard greens and winter collard greens.
Right.
And the amount of vinegar might change and things like that. But can you just tell us like the growing differences of those summers and winter collards?
Yeah, I mean, you need that frost, and you need early collards in the spring can be very tender and nice to eat. The fall ones are sweeter and have a little bit more earthiness and groove to them. And then the ones that are, people need to understand collards are a 2-year crop. Okay, they go from seed to plant, and then as long as you keep them from bolting, they will last years, and then you put the next ones in. So the ones I had in right now just came out because they got attacked. They were really pretty and really nice, called Green Glaze, one of the oldest varieties of collard that you can grow. They have shiny, iridescent leaves, and they're really cool. They look spectacular. They're also pretty hardy with pests, but you can't, when you grow organic garden like I do, you can't, something may happen, something may not happen. Depends upon what you do. But with collards, I think it's kind of interesting that there's all these different varieties, and they actually had a collard laboratory where they were saving different collards from across the South. And the collards were like the blue ones. There's cow collards. There's cabbage collards. There's all these different varieties, different colors, purple ones too. So I'm going to be having fun with that this fall and winter and spring. But again, we just had lettuce that bolted. Disgusting. We had cucumbers in the ground that are this time of year. I mean, you got to be really attentive to the seasons and water. When the cucumbers are well watered by nature and the aquifer is deep, the cucumbers are good. But if the cucumbers are drying out, the land is drying out and everything else is happening, the cucumbers are going to get bitter. So you learn a lot about life from gardening, and especially the crops that, are part of our tradition. And by the way, Chef, we got collards, kale, mustard greens, but they're going to be planted in succession. And I'm probably going to plant about 15 varieties altogether of edible greens for the winter.
Collards, kale, and mustard. So my sister is a collard, kale, mustard cooker. That is her mix for collard greens, and it's amazing how we grew up in the same house and cooked them totally different. I don't know who saw she went over to learn how to do it that way, but that's her kind of mix of collards, and it's 50 collards, 25 is the way she does it.
That makes sense. That makes total sense. And also I do turnip greens, but I think turnip greens for me are specifically early spring and early winter, and maybe even the middle of winter around here, because you gets kind of warm. But I mean, we got to remember something also. Not everybody had collard greens. And I actually want to ask you all a question, which is, we all know that Black cooking and Southern cooking and Caribbean cooking in West Africa has diversity and variety. But we got people think that collard greens is the only kind of green, but we have all those different types of greens, and of course they carry different flavors and sauces and ingredients. How do we get people to move outside of this idea that, particularly Black Southern food, has to only be this, or else it's not real?
I mean, we have only so much time.
But we had that conversation. We had that conversation with. I
mean, we kind of had a conversation last week
with Colleen.
Yes. Yeah,
and we had it with Chef Jason Howard, originally from Barbados, who's in England. For example, in Haiti, we have a green that is very, very popular called lalo, Lalo, which is in English called jute leaves. Jute leaves took its roots from Ethiopia. And was brought down to Haiti and grown in Haiti. So we have that, and then we have callaloo in Jamaica. We also have callaloo in Haiti as well, but more popular in Jamaica. And then of course, we have spinach, but we also have kale and collard greens in Haiti. But lalo is one of the most popular greens that we cook in Haiti, and it is cooked
in Sierra Leone too. That's how I learned about it. I didn't know about it until Sierra Leone, and now you tell me it's in Haiti.
Yes,
that's cool. That's powerful.
Yes.
I mean, to answer your question, the diversity of the soul food palette, we'll label it that way, is that we have to return to seasonal cooking. B, we have to understand the cost associated with seasonal cooking. That if you're serving tomatoes in the winter, it costs you more. They don't taste as good and things like that. So, and then we got to stop the shame. We got to stop the shame of being educated in the food ways, and know that it's knowledge and not only the God-given gifts that we have. That you can't understand the soil unless you till the soil, and things like that. And we got to open up our palate. But a lot of that has to do with food deserts. That some of these things are just not available to all of us everywhere anymore. And at that point in time, and we sold our land. We had shame in our land. We gave it away, and people took it away. And until we get back to taking control of our own land, it's not going to happen.
But I think one more important point I'd like to make is that the opportunity you get in connecting with other black and brown chefs from different Black cultures also is an important opportunity that we should take advantage of in order to share the differences, the similarities, and the flavors of our different Black cultures.
Mm-hmm.
We did Creole Food Fest, Todd and I, in New York, and I had him taste lalo because I did a lalo with goat, and when he tasted it, of course I knew he was gonna love it, but he was asking questions. He was like, "What is this? How come you cook it like this? Is there And that's what we need to take advantage of, not to feel like there is one, that we put our blinders on, and we seem to forget that Black culture is so immense
and vast.
Black food ways is so immense and vast, and the more we discover about those food ways, better and more knowledgeable and more more badass we become.
When you talk about the diversity, it's lenses. It's a lens. So, for example, I've noticed that when other people talk about their food ways, people let them have what they have. So, for example, I never heard somebody block an Italian and say, "Well, tomatoes are really Aztec." But when you talk about Black food, people say, "Well, sweet potatoes, well, those are from there, and those jute leaves, that's Molokia and in Egypt, that's totally different. That's what they like. No, you ain't learn something. Okay, great. There's a lot of foods have traveled to different cultures and people in the world. But guess what? When we Blackify something, we make it better. And not only do we make it better, it tells a story that your stuff can't tell. So yes, Chinese folks have sweet potatoes, and Japanese folks have sweet potatoes, but different varieties. They're telling a very different story than the ones in my ground. And what I have to say about the those that are gone, those that are here, and those that are coming. So
I'm going to tell you one of the things that happened to me is that I was invited to cook for the Haitian embassy in DC, and I was looking for jute. I was looking for lalo. We went first into the more Haitian location, and I couldn't find any. And then I walked into an Arabic store, and guess what? It was sitting in front of me in abundance. I'm like, hold up, this is lalo. This is the same thing. So I Googled it, I researched it. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what this is. And I was so excited, and I started asking questions. I said, where is this from? And I started reading the back of the bag, and come to find out, that came from Ethiopia, Egypt, that region. That's where it was started to be grown. And how did it end up in Haiti? Well, guess what, people? West Africa is not the only place where we all come from.
I mean, you think about the fact that we're global people, but we're never allowed to feel. I hate it every time somebody says, uses the word, for example, minority. Yeah, we are a minority within the context of Eurocentric society, but we are not a minority when it comes to the globe.
Oh, hell no!
Don't forget we are.
Absolutely not. Chef Todd Richards, of course, the great Chef Stephan. We're here with Michael Twitty, Heritage Radio Network, Roots, Heart, and Soul podcast. We usually give a shout out to a lot of our podcast members on Heritage Radio Network, but I wanted to give a special shout out to all our Instagram, YouTube followers, who always support us every Tuesday, 7 p.m. On Heritage Radio Network and Roots, Heart, Soul. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, Michael, you're on here, and everything is blowing up. People are asking questions, which is great for us to have. And I have someone have the question. It says, Chef, you spoke about the different types of collards. What greens are best for each month, and is there even a difference? Is a great great question, because I know there's a difference. When you said blue and purple, those are ones I saw in Chicago. But which ones are kind of, or let's talk about the garden in general. Let's not just focus on collards. Let's just talk about the garden in general, and why seasonal cooking is important to the American South, and as well as it to relating to Black culture in general.
It makes, something the other day ago, I said to somebody, I'm not going to be eating fresh tomatoes, once the summer's done. And I'm going to put tomatoes up and freeze some and, can some, etc. But that's going to be a soup thing. That's going to be a sauce thing. It's not going to be like now. Like now is the time for me to, even through the end of September, we have a lot of tomatoes. Those tomatoes are what they call indeterminate, which means they keep on producing until the frost comes. And so one year, first year we came and got this house here in Virginia, we had like the tomato season lasted to the end of October. So it was wild. We had like 400 tomatoes on the table, and it was like the last go. And I say that because anybody can make you peach cobbler with the canned peaches. Get out of my face. Why don't I like regular tomatoes, or they give you on a sandwich or at the store, or for like salads, because they're hothouse tomatoes. They don't taste like nothing. They don't taste like the earth. Best tomatoes I ever had was in Louisiana. They said we got this thing called Creole tomatoes, and they didn't look that much different. I'm like, okay, but when I actually had one, you could taste that soil and those minerals. And
that's salinity. Right.
Yeah. Like right now, I'm doing this thing where I'm going to start planting fall crops, real quick, enough for 2 people and change to eat. And I'm using short season corn varieties from Alaska, so I can have actual sweet corn at a time when there's not so many bugs. And so we're going to have sweet corn that's actually fresh from the garden into October, November. It produces in like 2 months. So, I want people to understand something. Not everything was available at every time. And that's what I love about, the Italian philosophy about food and cooking, is that when the zucchini flowers are there, you eat your zucchini flowers. But you also understand that by the time zucchini flowers are done, you're probably going to be sick of zucchini flowers and waiting for the next thing. It's an on to the next one situation where you just keep on flowing with the year, and you appreciate those things, the nutrients that those soups give you in the winter, right? The gratitude we have that we have the greens, because at one point in time, a lot of cultures simply just gave up and they wouldn't have any real vegetables until, the snow had cleared. But kale lasts through the snow. And so just understanding that seasonal mentality helps us eat healthier, be healthier, and also create an expectation in your body that you're going to eat things that are fresh from the ground. Now, you said something earlier that I really need to address. Access. Priorities. Priorities are, and I know that's going to be difficult with this current situation we're dealing with, but I was in Pittsburgh and I saw they had taken an abandoned small baseball lot and they turned it into a community farm. Or those spaces, and sometimes the spaces that we live in, we got to test the soil, okay? Because we know about environmental racism, there might be things in the soil or in the environment that might be not good for us to have a garden or a community farm. But that's anytime we have empty space. Oh, right quick, before I forget, vertical gardening.
Yes, took the words right out of my mouth.
Right, even houses that could be recirculated to be a space where you do, vertical gardening. Vertical gardening can produce tons of food, especially the kind of food that we need to eat, like leafy greens, etc., in a quick way.
I tell people all the time, my first garden was on my back porch, and it was a container. It was 4 Home Depot buckets that I lined, and grew tomatoes, eggplant, black bell peppers, red bell peppers, jalapenos, all that, on the back of my porch, and me, just growing cherry tomatoes. teaching kids how to grow cherry tomatoes and basil will
Right.
open up their whole, gamut of things that they. I mean, if you understand what a tomato tastes like, a real tomato tastes like, then you have the whole flavor of the earth to me. I mean, you don't need anything. Just cut it, maybe a little bit of salt,
Mhm.
yeah, and go that way. Go ahead, Stephan.
I had a French chef um, who became a very good friend, but he came to Haiti, and he said it wasn't until he got to Haiti that he ate a tomato that tasted like a tomato. Now, this is a guy who's lived in France, who's lived everywhere, and he talks about the Haiti tomato and the Haiti tomato experience. Michael, I pride myself on having not only touched but started. I'm in the middle of your first cookbook. I want to touch real quick on writing this amazing book, which won you the James Beard Award for Book of the Year.
Mm.
What was your mental vision for this book, and what did you want to convey to people who actually who have had the chance to read it?
Therese Nelson told me we need a blueprint for being able to approach our heritage and our food and have a cohesive narrative. A lot of times our narratives as Black people, especially New World Black people, notice I don't use the phrase ADOS or FBA. I'm sorry, but I'm an unapologetic Garveyite Pan-Africanist, Black nationalist. I believe in the totality of our family and the necessity of going back, but also going back to fetch it, the Sankofa mentality. And so I wanted a book that would be almost like a roots for Black food, especially, I know what I know. I give a little bit of attention to the Caribbean, and I give a lot of attention to the African roots of our food. And I kind of walk people through that process of, let's put it like this. If you're the average Haitian person has a lot of West Central Africa, probably some French at some point for various reasons, and indigenous Arawak Taino heritage. So when you know about the importance of Benin and Congo and Yoruba to the heritage of Haitians, and some Igbos and some Senegambians, and then you look at the foodways of these cultures, and then you think about the food that you grew up with, and the fact that Haiti has, even though it's a small part of the island, it has a lot of diversity in the way people cook and eat, and influences in the cooking. And then you think about Haitian immigration to America, which has been over the course of 250 years. And then you say, okay, wait a minute, but over here, different parts of the Caribbean, there are parallel traditions, and in the South, there's parallel traditions. And then you look at contemporary West African food, and all of a sudden, you have a culinary family tree. Now, for Black Americans, I think there's this push-pull between we are the shit and we ain't shit. That is a hell of a thing to have to tightrope walk between those two things. And, it's like Lorraine Hansberry, Raised in the Sun, and her the daughters beneath this boyfriend, who the one she kind of shook off, played by Lou Gossett Jr. Lou Gossett Jr. says, "Girl, your heritage is nothing but some raggedy ass spirituals and something else." And then she meets Joseph Asagai, which is not a Yoruba name at all. But he's supposed to be Yoruba, and he's just like, my African queen and the civilization and the whatever. And I think the cooking team was about me confronting that idea of, you ain't nothing. But if I'm not anything, how come everybody want to copy me? Right? And sell what I have. And why does it have value when it goes somebody else's hands? But if I'm everything, why are we still dealing with all these issues, particularly through the world of food? And so I literally walked my reader by their hand. And I know some people were kind of pissy about the cooking gene because It's a food memoir with recipes and other stuff. It's also not Soul Food 3, The Resurrection of Big Mama. Everything does not have, right? Babyface in the background singing.
Right? Tell that.
Yeah. And you have to have that information. I mean, Todd, I can't name everybody right now because I got like that corona amnesia. But I mean, your work, Rayford, Chef Matthew Rayford, Chef BJ Dennis, Chef Kevin Mitchell. We can go on all day. But a lot of these brothers and sisters and siblings have been able to say, this is where I come, this is what I am. We got Northern Soul, California Soul. The story doesn't stop in Alabama. The story doesn't stop in Detroit. The story keeps going, and the story goes over to Germany with the military. The story goes to Korea with the military. I mean, we have everybody. I want you to understand something. This is not a journey that we are allowed to abandon. There are so many stories that we have to record, that we have to create a legacy for, and remind people that as long as you live in, as long as you're the next generation, there's hope. And there's stories that have to be recorded and have to be remembered so we can keep surviving.
Michael, I mean, you brought up so many things. Just naming the people, and I appreciate you naming myself. Of course, Matthew's great friends of ours and people like so. And of course, Tony, what Tony Tipton Martin has done for all of us. Yes. Taking all of us by our hands and led us on the yellow brick road, to success, and does it with grace and style and poise. And I mean, I wish he would run for office because we need more people like her in official seats. But I'll let that be another conversation, for another day. What's important to me, in this last, 20 minutes or so, that is we talk about the new book, The American South, because there has been a lot of cookbooks on this subject, and we all have different perspectives on it. And what I find in your book is my own personal take is the final chapter of this story. That it is now time to, after this book, write a new chapter. What is the new legacy? You have started the blueprint. You allow all of us to come in there and be a part of the blueprint, and you wrote this book, and now you have closed the chapter on this blueprint, and it's time for us to start a new play, a new song, and things like that. So why is this book so important to you, and to bestow it on the public at large?
So first, I want to thank you all for talking about the cooking gene. Cooking gene, kosher, soul, and rice are very important to me, and I encourage listeners, especially listeners of African heritage. The plug is not about money. The plug is about making sure you have the information, because right now it's being taken from us left and right. We have to control the information. We have to stockpile the books, the documentaries, the resources, so nobody in our community goes hungry for that knowledge. That's the first thing. The American South, I was invited by Emily Takutis, one of the editors at Fightin', to do this book. And at first she said, well, can you find somebody who would be willing to take it on? Well, people need to understand, as you all well know, cookbooks are marathons. They are not, you don't just sprinkle some magic in as a damn cookbook out of nowhere. It takes a long time. And then, there's nobody's ever had complete editorial freedom unless they do it all on their own. And then the cookbook sells 15 copies, right? So you have to work with publishers and editors and whatever. And I didn't really find anybody for her, and I really was trying. Then I said, well, I could do it with somebody. And then that kind of fell through. And she's like, well, you know what? You're the perfect person to do this anyway. So, well, do you want to do this? And I kind of said, yeah, because, I was going to work with editors who were going to really fine tooth comb and help me hone the ability to write recipes And you all know this. It's measurements, it's testing, it's having sometimes it's outsourcing to other people to help them test and help you measure and make sure things are right. It's not just like, I think all of us can cook up just about anything that we love. 75, 100 plus more things from the heart and from the hand. But it's not the same. But showing somebody that some people they have to have every single measurement recorded. They hold their hand through the entire process. And cookbooks are just like there's no room for any of that. You got to make sure they have the knowledge they need. The American South is special because we've had a lot of cookbooks that we've written, Soul, right? Bressignon, right? Miss Emily Meggett of Late's cookbook, Jubilee. So these cookbooks are important because they are part of the body of knowledge of a chef. Pierre Tom does this, right? West African cooking and also Senegal. But for the most part, there is this unfortunate division that has been made that says Southern almost surely belongs to white authors, white cooks, white restaurateurs and chefs. Whereas, Black soul food or Black whatever, that's us. Well, Natalie Dupree of late wrote a huge Southern sweeping cookbook. Damon Fowler, a couple other people. This is the first time, and I'm secure in that somebody like us has written a sweeping cookbook of all Southerners, explaining all the cultures, right? From indigenous to Creole and the Cajun to, Viet, Cajun to Chinese Mississippi Delta to Appalachian to Low Country to Chesapeake to Texas Hill Country, to Oklahoma. It's almost as if sometimes the gatekeepers, whoever they may be, and they're different gatekeepers, not all one background, don't trust us to tell other people's story, And I'll put it like this. I'm proud of the fact that that's another. I always go for things where I know ain't nobody gone before. I'm all about those intellectual Mount Everest. But also this is not just me. The door is open, ladies and gentlemen. The door is open, siblings. We can listen. I'm not here to be the last. I'm here to be the one who opens that gate and keeps it open and keeps that opportunity going. So yeah, this book is very special because it's us, it's me, it's one of us saying, okay, let me be the ambassador for once.
Well, I think you've definitely showed your ambassadorship, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get my hand on that cookbook and go deeper into the knowledge that I seek.
Wow. Feel that heft. 400 pages, 266 recipes officially, but also a lot of them have variations, so it's closer to 300 when you get down to it. The pictures are gorgeous. I can't do that. So that's
for 400 pages.
I'd be even more honored if it had your signature on it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I got y'all. So one of the first things that I had to do was I had to send off a box of papers to China, and it came a blank box of printing paper, and I was like, "What the hell am I supposed to do with this?" So I had to autograph over 500 pieces of paper in a span of 3 hours, send it off to China, and then send the first signed editions or have my signature because they put the paper in the book somehow, some way.
And I would love to bring you my copy of The Cooking Gene and have you sign that as well.
Absolutely, I got you.
So, Michael, we are getting to 10 minutes before the hour.
Sure.
We got to do a second episode with Michael as well, man. There's so much to talk about here.
I was going to say, Stephan, the Roots Are So podcast is almost coming beyond an hour worth show. I mean, we keep it to an hour, but we're going to have so many for season 3. It's going to be crazy because we got to go. We got to expand.
We got to do some doubles. We got to do some doubles. Michael, please share with our audience where they can find you, where they can follow you,
Sure.
where they can get the book. And so forth.
So I've had to. I used to live in Twitterland. Now Twitterland doesn't exist anymore. But I'm definitely very prominent on Instagram, on IG. The Cooking Gene, title of my first book, on Instagram. I'm also on Threads. I'm also on Blue Sky. I think I'm The Cooking Gene on Threads. Also on Facebook. Michael W. Twitty is my page. The Cooking Gene also has a page. Please continue buying and supporting the Cooking Gene. It is still being printed and still out there. And also, if I may say so, buy. Don't. I would love for some people if there's no other way to buy the secondhand version, but buy the retail version, please. That's for all of us. If you can manage it. Buy the retail version of our books, not the secondhand version. We don't get no money for that. We don't get, and that money is important to keep us surviving and living and thriving and teaching. Phaidon, you can buy it through Phaidon, or you can buy it through, if you like Amazon or Barnes and Noble, but especially if you have a Black bookseller you want to order through that's local to you, or, even if it just comes to the mail, please do that. I want all of us to benefit. I have no greater pleasure in my mind than keeping $1 in our community. That's power. And so in addition to that, just, order the book. Pre-orders are important, y'all. That I was like, oh, when Soul came out, I was on it. I had that because that pre-order keeps us flowing, because it says to the publishers, this is something people want to consume. So that's just important. Kosher Soul is out there. Please support that as well. I know we have some global issues at the moment, but that is one of the first. No, it's the first book that deals with Black Jewish culture and Black Jewish food, and talks about our diversity there. So and just I love bibliographies, y'all, because it gives us an opportunity. If somebody really wants to get into, especially of our younger people, who want to embrace our food, if it's for their self, their home, reading that bibliography gives you an opportunity to map out the books that you're going to use to create your kitchen and the legacy you're going to leave to your descendants.
We didn't get to touch on your Jewish background, which we'll definitely do in episode 2, because my great-grandfather is also Jewish, immigrated from somewhere in France during World War II, and ended up in Haiti. And wow. My grandfather is actually my paternal grandfather is actually first generation Haitian.
Wow.
I mean, that is crazy. And as mostly everyone knows that, my first background in cooking was kosher butchering at Kroger right there on La Vista Road in Hot Atlanta, and,
wow.
And to sit there and make sure the paper's on the floor and everything, and the rabbi in the corner. Shout out to the rabbi. I'm sure he's gone now. Sit in the corner with the flame, and he had a coffee cup. I'm sure it was Manischewitz in there, for sure.
I never got a chance to explore. Yeah. Unfortunately, I knew by the time I knew my great grandfather was very old, but and I didn't get much of a chance to get to know him well. But I would have loved to know his story. In him coming to Haiti, and marrying an Italian woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's all. Episode 51. Stephan.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, We are 3 minutes before the end of the hour. What a treat this was.
Thank you.
To have Michael Twitty on Roots, Heart, and Soul, especially to celebrate Chef Todd's birthday.
Yay.
Absolutely, absolutely. This was a treat for me as well. And we've got to talk more about your knowledge on Haiti's influence, especially in Louisiana and other parts of the South. I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued to know more. I want to thank you for joining us every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Thank you, Michael Twitty, for joining us. Thank you to you guys for joining this conversation. We have enjoyed immensely to be with you guys tonight. Join us every Tuesday night. If you want to continue support us, please share, subscribe, and let the word out. In the meantime, make sure you pre-order or you head to your favorite bookstore, especially your Black-owned bookstores, and get The American South from Michael Twitty. Ladies and gentlemen, we bid you good night. Until next Tuesday.
There's a lot of festivals happening around the country, a lot of Black festivals happening, and we see them everywhere. We're just going to make sure you encourage you all to make sure you include an educational component into what you're serving, because just tasting the food is one thing, but feeding the mind is something totally different. You're listening to Roots, Heart, Soul podcast on Heritage Radio
Network. Have a good night.